my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Oh, well, they gave me bars, but I can see between to a dusty yard and long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of Heidbangers. I'm the host, Matty. This is like a wee extension of our Longbangers podcast. If you cast your mind back to, I think maybe 2 years ago, 18 months, 2 years, around about that sort of time, we did a wee series of podcasts inspired by the Changing Room, which is an initiative to support men with their mental health that Hibs were involved with, which is why we got on board. And at the time, we spoke to actually pretty much everybody on tonight's podcast, who I shall introduce in a second, other than Alex. So without further ado, Neil, welcome back to the podcast. Neil Renton, good to see you, mate. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thank you for having me. Well done for getting this started in that again and bringing something to light, which is quite important for people, and especially men. And a lot of men will maybe struggle if they're feeling there's a stigma attached to mental health. So now it's great that you're taking that initiative to get the conversation going. So well done.
Thanks very much. And John Wallace as well. Good to see you, mate. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. It's good to come back on. It's good to see you getting the mental health podcast back up and again. It's quite a good thing to do. It's I'm just not very good at this.
You're absolutely fine, mate. Absolutely fine. Well, good to see you. Stephen Murray, nice to see you as well.
Nice to see you guys.
Thanks
for having us on. Just to echo what the guys are saying there, it's brilliant to get back talking again about mental health. So brilliant. Thanks very much.
And you've got a wee moustache coming up. A wee moustache is a better moustache. I've no shave for a month, right? Not a word of a lie, right? It's like a month's worth of growth. And it's pathetic. Aye. And how long you been doing? November 1st, pretty much for the start of the month?
Probably for the start of the month, aye. And this is the end result thus far. I'm not going to lie, I'm taking such a slagging for it. But I mean, it's all in good fun. I was with a group of my mates there on bonfire night, and the slagging I took, because this, I mean, don't get me wrong, even towards the start of the month, this is kind of what I had. I mean, it was pretty prominent, straight away. And all the slagging I took was unbelievable. I was getting I looked like a 70s porn star look and everything like that. So it was really funny, but delighted doing it, because it's all for a good cause.
It's amazing how many folk inadvertently admit to watching 70s porn now.
Allegedly.
Hi. And Alex, of Fattest Prickus of Twitter, we're with Twitter royalty. How are you doing, mate?
I'm very well. I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. With regards to November, I'm never doing that again. I look like a nonce when I tried.
Is this your first time on a podcast? I know we've spoken loads of times, Alex. I can't remember if you've come on quick bang or if you'd been on one of the podcasts before.
No, I've done I've been on Down the Slope with the guys. That was good fun. But first time on Longbangers, so to speak.
Down the Slope's one of my favourite podcasts. I'd heartily recommend people listen.
Good laugh.
Good boys. So, men's mental health, just before we kicked in and started talking about it, I wore wellies today. When was the last time you wore wellies?
Last week.
Did you?
Year when we had the snow, I went and walked a pair of wellies. We had the snow, so I had to walk to work. So when we had the snow, I went and walked there.
I thought I put them on to get to take the dog out because it was quite wet. I started taking them through the woods up at Dullock, and my trainers were getting dead muddy. I was like, I'm sure I've got a pair of wellies in the car. So I found them and put a pair of kilt socks on because I thought that will save me getting blisters. Oh, fucking nightmare to put on a pair of wellies. I didn't realise how difficult they want to put on and take off as well.
Aye.
I carry some love pack in my back pocket just in case that ever happens.
Best thing for it. Right, wellies, and I reckon how you segue for wellies into mental health. But Neil, I'll come to you first of all, mate. We spoke a long time ago on this podcast about it. So how things been with you since then?
And I've been pretty decent actually. Been pretty decent. There'll still be days where I have like down days and that. And it's just managing it and identifying triggers and things that can help me. And the best thing is like speaking about it. You know, if you're feeling it, then mention it to someone. That's something for which there was a period of time for which when I was volunteering at the changing room, I was telling people that they should be talking about it, but I wasn't doing it myself and it was just eating away at me. So now I'm in a far, far better position. And that way as well, you'll get the support for like those around you that are able to identify those triggers as well and, you know, make sure you're all right and stuff. So I feel good actually. There is, as I say, there's times that it will affect me, but and I'm more like comfortable with that just now, trying not to let it like get to me too much. Like even recently there's been, and it's because I tend to worry a lot, so there'll be times where I'm just like building up a lot of worries, and like I just sat down today and blitzed like loads of stuff I had to do on like my to-do list, and it didn't take me long at all. It took me far longer like putting it off and worrying about it, and I did, you know, sometimes it's just like a minute to get stuff done, that's it, boom, on the next thing. Whereas I was like, oh, I can't do it, I'm worried I'm going to do it. But yeah, nah, it's been good actually. It's been good, and you feel guilty sometimes when things are going well, and if they're not going well for others. So it's like, you know, you trying to help people as much as you can, especially like pandemic and that as well. It's been challenging for everybody. So I came in it in quite a good way. I'd came into it, and I think I mentioned it before. So like 2019, I was struggling. And then I needed a routine, you know, and it's that thing where you need to do things for yourself as much as for others, you know. So as we've said it as well, Matt, like playing computer games, so I'll play like Game Boy, Tetris, I'll do a bit of reading, do a bit of writing, which I enjoy, and try and get that routine. So when the lockdown started, I already had basis just to sort of like manage it. Whereas for people, it was like a change in the routine. And nobody likes change as well. But nah, I've been good. I'm quite chuffed actually. Yeah, quite chuffed.
Stuff. And John, how about you? How you be keeping?
The last couple of weeks has been a bit of a struggle. I was out last Friday, but absolutely pissed and fell downstairs and fucking cracked all my head open, cut on my head, my back, my right leg's absolutely hit to boots all black and blue and yellow, like getting the colour of a dairy milk wrapper. That's the colour of my leg.
How was the stairs?
Outside the golf club, there was only like 6 stairs, and hit one in the fight.
I've got to ask, is the stairs all right, aye?
Aye, I was swagging. The day that I walked past her and went, haha, fuck you, I went, oh, cheers. Aye, so I had to go to, I managed to get a nurse appointment on Friday, and they're going to send me for an x-ray because significant injuries to your leg, so my knee, my ankle, and my hips to get x-rayed was, aye, it's pretty, my leg looks pretty much the colour of this Hibs stuff. It's just pretty bad. I was out and I go out drinking now. Some days I can go out and have a few beers, I'm alright. And some days I drink like a fish, and I don't know why. You just get a taste for it. And last week I fell and I just felt like a fanny. I was like, same shit again, getting pissed, falling, whatever. And I actually went away to go and take my own life. But my brother phoned the police, so there's a bridging going off this that's well known for jumping. So I get there, and an unmarked police car popped up, goes, "You John Walsh?" Nah, my name's Dave, see you later, pal. And it's like, "Come back here, you." I was like, "All right." It's like, if the police hadn't been there, I was off that bridge. That's the truth.
Fucking hell, John.
Fucking helmet.
Well, what was the catalyst for that? Is that because of the fall, or was there other stuff going on?
I've changed jobs, which is better hours. I'm working shifts, which is good. It's a wee bit more money, different. I've kind of struggled a wee bit to adapt, just because it's different to what I've done before. But I don't know, I think just, for me, it's like, I'm stuck in a routine, and it's not a routine I want to be in. It's like, I get pissed, I fucking make an arse of myself, and I just, every time something good comes into my life, I've fucked it, and it's all down to drink, or just, it's with mental health. With me, it's like I learn to deal with it, and you kind of triggers you. some days you feel shit. I do get suicidal thoughts in it again, but usually after a couple of days it's gone. It's just I'll take a time out and just watch Amazon Prime or films or listen to music and that. So I've got ways of dealing with it. But there comes a time it's just like, I'm physically and mentally drained. It's just like it just seems to be a constant battle, and it takes a lot of energy out of you. And I just thought, I can't be arsed anymore. It's just like, I just kind of want it all to end, and then it's like I don't have to worry about fucking dealing with this and dealing with that, and it's draining. Like
That's I honestly don't know what to say to that, John. So, I mean, thankfully, your brother kind of had notified the police and got a bit of help for you. What happened after that? Like, you know, how did you get for that point to you know, kind of being here to talk about it?
I've been speaking to Neil. I've took off. I kind of came out of group chats and I was off social media, but I kind of took a back step. I just took a time out just to kind of like some rest time for myself, just kind of take a step back. I've been talking to Neil. Neil's been pretty good this last week. Kept in touch, checking in on a regular basis to make sure I'm all right and everything like that. So we've had a wee bit of banter and chat and that. So, but the last week or so, it's just been, it's empty and numbness. It's just, I reckon, is it when I come off track with stuff, I find it hard to get back on track, to get my life back into a position where, to kind of move on. But this week, I mean, I was at the rugby yesterday with Dad. It was his birthday on Friday, so me and my mum and my brother sat down and got my ticket and that to go to the rugby. So it was really good. Had a couple of pints before it, after the game and that, and it was good. This week I've been working, I've been night shift, so but it's just been a fucked up week. It's just everything around me right now is just like a weird kind of place.
And do you think, Crow, you'd be able to like not quantify the things that you've gone on, but like break it down, because it's quite a big thing, like going to a new job. That's like a big massive change. You know what I mean? So, and do you think it's like, and it's easy enough for me to say that because I can relate to you where when it comes to drinking, like I'm like a binge drinker, so I won't drink a lot, but when I go to the pub, I'll drink a lot. Like, so like for the semi-final, I'm thinking about where I'm going before it, before that, where I'm going after the game, where I'm going after that. Do you know what I mean? Got the Monday off, so that'll be me. Whereas like I'll not drink a lot. So for yourself, is that a case of like sort of breaking down those things to see what you can manage it then? You know, like for your new job and things like drinking and that.
The job, I'm one of these people. I've always been a grafter, and usually after you get a new job, obviously it takes you a while to learn stuff. Usually after 3 or 4 weeks, I'm at a pretty good standard. But it's just like when you're struggling a wee bit, and it's like you kind of feel useless. It's like, this isn't me. I can come in and pick stuff up and do it, no problem. Again, it's changed. I was with my last job for 3.5 years, but I had to get out there. My mental health was taking a pounding, and I was working so many hours, and it was just, I didn't want to be in it. I went in to give my notice. I said, wait, I'm not working it. I'm just telling you that's me away. He goes, I didn't want to be here anymore, so I'm away. As for now, so I wasn't too chuffed about that, but I was like, I didn't give a fuck. I'm not coming back here, so I'm happy.
After you.
I'm happy to burn my bridges with you, like, so. It's a new environment. It's good. Again, I was working. I'm back to working 5 days rather than 4. But I was doing a lot of overtime on Fridays, so it doesn't bother me. I do my shift work. Again, that's just getting used. My body's just getting used to into changing. But with the drinking, it's like there's one Friday I had a boy gave me a wee drop of that honey Jack Daniels to taste. I had 2 of them in the house and watched the telly, and I felt good. I had 2 drinks, that was it. I was like, no bother. But the drinking, it's all started. It's got worse since the pandemic started, because when my old job there, was like, there was no overtime going. You just worked your 4 days. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was getting ratters pretty much all 3 nights. Then you go out to the pub, you're out, pals, you end up drinking, and it's just, I can't manage my drink. I can't say no. It's like, I say to myself, right, I'll have 4 drinks, that'll be my limit. But in my head's like, nah, here a couple more, here a couple more. You're enjoying yourself, whatever. And the next minute, it's just like, and when my mum said it, and a few people said it, hey, I've got a good drink in me, I'm not a nice person. I was like, I can, but I didn't really want to be hearing that. But again, it's just, I've become a different person, eh? So I've ruined a lot of things through drinking and everything. It's just, I was going to go to an Alcoholics Anonymous thing, but also I'm working shifts now, so it's trying to find one to do that, or just try to find a way to kind of clamp it or just cut it out.
I think you'd be able to stop drinking, John. Is that something that you've considered?
Aye, I have done it. Years ago, I went like 6 months without a drink. I just stopped for 6 months to kind of prove something to myself, to say I could do it. But last week, I was like, I never really, I was like, fuck it, I'm like, state my leg in that, it's like, I really need to stop. I had a couple yesterday, but it was alright, but then I came back to one office, and I went out again last night, so I was like, fuck me, man, it's just like, I've been in my bed all day. I was at my mum and dad's, but I didn't get up till like 5 o'clock. I just slept because I've been needing a good sleep, but it's something I'd like to do, to try and stop, but it's just, it's not, no, it's hard to explain. It's like, I want to do it, but I just can't find the tools, or my head's I can't find a place in my head to kind of get myself there to go ahead and stop drinking, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense. I know what you mean with the job thing as well. And I think if this is like a reassuring thing or no, but so I think I'm 6 months, just past 6 months in my job. This is really the first proper time off I had. I took a week off for my birthday. Went into a meeting on Thursday. While I was off, I said I'd dial into this meeting. Seen a couple of emails that I wish I hadn't seen. And Kevin, you get the fear for going back to work.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much since Thursday, all I've thought about is stuff I need to do for work. I'm off the morning. And then Tuesday, it's the worst I've had it for ages. Like I generally didn't get bothered with things. Like normally it can just sail through. But there's like we did this one meeting on once a month with another area, and it's my team's responsible for collating all the information and I present it. And honestly, it's been a fucking mess. Like every time we've done it. And the last one was a shocker. And I was like, I kind of got stuff to fix when I go back. And it's that bit about feeling that you can't do it. And like you, John, I feel like I'm a pretty capable guy. Most of the time, like I can get something, pick it up quite quick and just go with it. And I'm like, why am I fucking struggling with this? And you feel, given you said you feel like useless or like you're letting folk down. That's exactly what I've been feeling this week. And the anxiety's been like piling up and piling up and piling up. To the point, like the day I was like, well, if I'm sick, can on Tuesday? Like, that doesn't do any good because that's just going to kick the can down the road. And I'm on job sites and everything. And actually, all I need to do, see if I stop for a minute and go, right, what are you bothered about? Is ask for a bit of help there. See when I go to work on Tuesday, just say, anyway, I'm struggling a wee bit with this. I'm just getting a wee drink. Can I get a bit of help? And I'll be all right. It's like one of these things you build it up into like something that it's not. And it's advice if I was getting to somebody in my team who came to me and was like, "Oh, Matt, I'm struggling with work. Can you help me?" I'd be like, "Fucking, of course, can I help you?" And then you just help, and it would be like you'd ask them, "What are you bothered about?" I'll help you. Of course, I'll help you. That's what we're here for. But it doesn't stop you feeling that way, like that you're letting folk down or something to worry about. Stephen, I'll come to you. How are things with you, mate?
Aye. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, my life's been completely different the last couple of months. Obviously, with me just having my wee girl on that. I mean, that's took my emphasis. I'm no number one anymore. Do you know what I mean? And like she's taken because of it. Like, there's been days where I have been feeling down. I just throw myself into something like doing something with her, be it getting her a bottle, getting it like just sort of playing with her for 5 minutes or whatever, and just even just a wee thing like just like hearing her laugh. Do you know what I mean? And that is something that just when that happens, it just takes me away. I had a wee sort of time, really bad time, like a couple of days ago, where I was sitting in the house with my wife, and I was like, I'm not fucking feeling good here at all. Like, I just felt like fucking really lonely. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was the only person in my like world. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, like, I mean, I think it's because, again, I know you're all saying, with the pandemic and things like that, obviously. I think my problem is the fact I haven't been able to see, like, my mates or anything like that for as long as what I care to remember. And it just suddenly hit me. I was like, can I fucking really miss everybody? Can I really miss this person? I really miss that person. And it just, like, really, really got in my head there. And I was like, fuck, I didn't care what to do here. Right. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I mean, I went away, I had a wee sort of 10 minutes to myself, just sat, and I'm not going to lie, I had a good cry to myself, and just after that, I was like, right, it's shooting open now, it's off my shoulders, let's just go back to base here and see where we go, But I mean, I didn't understand in my way, like, because in my way of thinking, like, I have to try and, I'm the same as yourselves, Ken, just try and break everything down, And it seems like when I done that, I was like, right, let's try and get in touch with this person. Let's try and get in touch with that person. And it was just a case of sitting for 10 minutes, even just sort of 10 minutes chatting away on like Messenger and things like that. Talking to people again, I was like, Ken, I feel brilliant now, for the fact that I've spoke to folk. Because I mean, I can't speak for yourselves, lads, but see, like me on my own, I fucking hate being on my own, right? I hate it. It's the worst thing on the world. That is the gospel truth. What I'm going to tell you, my biggest fear in this world is being alone. Like, Ken, how like when you sit and you hear all the wee old buddies and that, Ken, and they've not had a visitor for however many months, and they didn't care what it's like. It's like they forget how to speak to people and things like that, and just like my mum worked with a lot of pensioners and things like that, and there was times like where like one of the wee pensioners in her care would sadly pass away, and nobody knew because nobody was going in to basically to make sure they were all right. That's my biggest fear in the world, like just being on my own. So when I go to that place where I think, fuck, I'm all by myself, and I struggle to get out of there. You know what I mean? And that, like, I mean, I get what John's saying there about drinking and everything like that. I went through a phase of drinking, like, not long after my father passed away, and it was to a point where, like, I didn't realise and I didn't know how bad it was getting. Now I didn't drink at all because I can't, just with my stomach and that, I can't do it. But I understand completely, like, but just you have like a couple of drinks and that, you think, oh, Ken, I'm ready to take on the world and things like that. And it's just natural, no? But it's honestly, like, I can't. I'm like, this week I went to that point where I was like, I didn't ken how to get myself back to base, And I'm not going to lie, something that's got me through quite a lot like the last couple of weeks is like our wee group chat, like on WhatsApp, just sitting and, oh my God, some of the messages I'll read, they just fucking make me laugh. You know what I mean? And then I'll sit there and I start laughing. I think, right, I'm back to base now. And it's silly wee daft things like looking at something like on Twitter or a wee bad joke, or you're ripping somebody because of whatever. Do you know what I mean? And it gets you back again, and that saved me. I'm not gonna lie, that saved me massively. Last a week, 2 weeks, has saved me big time.
That's what you said about being on your own and no enjoying it. It's one of the things that I use to reset myself if I'm starting to feel a wee bit I get claustrophobic. I very rarely get time on my own. Very, very rarely get time on my own because I'm the only one in the house that drives, so I'm taxiing folk or, do you know, like it's just constant. Like there's folk around the house all the time and all the rest of it. So it's one of my favourite things. I think I like it all the time, obviously, but one of my favourite things for just kind of calming down is, see, if you get even an hour or a couple of hours when there's nobody in the house, it's fucking bliss. It's like it's one of my favourite. Or going a wee walk. So I started taking the dog out in the mornings, and that long walk's one of my favourite hours of the day. It's just a wee bit of kind of peace and quiet to clear the head. But I get what you're saying about the, you know, long term. That's not something to look forward to, is it?
No, I mean, as I say, it's just I don't know why that is, but I've always had that fear, and it is fear to me. Is like it's my biggest fear in the world, whereby I'm on my own. Do you know what I mean? And it seems like, I mean, I laughed with my wife a couple of weeks ago. It's a bit that I joked with her. I says, I couldn't live on my own because I couldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? And I know we're having a wee bit of laugh and saying, oh, Ken, you're washing when they get done and shit like that, which is, I mean, it's fair enough, but Ken, I would do it because if I was on my own, like I'd have nobody else to, no date for me, but to help me along the way, sort of thing. Whereas, as I say, it's my biggest fear in the world is like, because as I say, when you get to like, if I'm lucky enough to sort of get to that elderly stage, Ken, when you're that way down the line and things like that, which is, you know, fine. But I would hate to be one of the people like who would forget how to talk to folk, forget how to communicate with people, to forget what it's like to be part of a wee group or a wee community and things like that. And it just it terrifies me, yeah. So, but I know obviously everybody's different, because obviously you were saying there, Matty, the bit that you love that hour by yourself or whatever. Me, on the other hand, couldn't think of anything worse. I'm the total opposite. I have to be round people. I have to be there. I have to be having a wee bit of a laugh. I have to be having a joke. I have to be able to talk to folk. I just couldn't be on my own. It's horrible.
For me, loneliness is like a best friend for me at times. It's like when I was young, when we had videotapes and Blockbusters, I'd go to I'd go in. I'd go down.
You're in Fife, so that was last week.
I'd go down. You get like 3 videos for a tenner. I'd go there and get like a chinky or Chinese or a chippy. I'd go home and watch the films. For me, just I live on my own, and at times it's for me. In a way, it helps with in a way, it kind of helps with my mental health. It kind of takes me kind of out the spotlight, out the limelight. I'm kind of got my own wee world. I've just decorated my flat and everything, so I've got my flat now. So I come in. It actually helps with mental health. It's like it's the way I've looked at it. It's a calming effect on me. It's nice. It's good, but sometimes you say to yourself, again, you're on. Like, I'm in group chats or whatever stuff like that with my pals up here and stuff. And you see things happening and you're like, oh, like, I must have missed that phone call away. But the loneliness does kick in sometimes for me. It does. I know where Stephen's coming from. You're like, sometimes you hate being on your own, especially if you're if your mental health took a dip. It's probably not good being on your own. But for me, it's like I struggle to be. I can't get involved in relationships. I struggle to be in a relationship with people. With my mental health, I think just obviously the drinking and my mental health, it's like I struggle to like me at times. So how can I expect someone else to like me for just being me? And but the loneliness, it's like my friend, but it can also be your enemy as well.
How about you, Alex?
I'm sure, I don't know if I should say it or no, but I'm in quite a good place at the minute.
Fine to say that, mate. It's a good thing.
I'm busy as hell with work, but I'm managing it. I work with my dad, and he's going to retire next year. So he drilled a hole in his hand. So he's been out of the action for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So I'm getting a feel for how it's going to be working on my own. So, and I'm quite fine with it. So just kind of managing that, but I'm expecting it next year. So kind of try to prepare for being like that all the time on my own, and he'll help out now and again, but that's kind of where I'm at. I'm pointing at his house, he's right next door to me. We work together, and my cousin and best mate lives that way through the wall. So I'm kind of really lucky. I've got everybody right beside me. So, and I, like you, Matty, I didn't really get much time to myself. But when I do, I'm away out for a walk, and generally short bangers is getting listened to, roaring and laughing at that. So I'm all right, doing quite fine. So looking forward to, I've set myself a bit of focus for the business, and I can what I'm coming up to. So quite good.
That's good. Good to hear. Neil, what advice would you give to folk who are struggling a bit?
It's talking about it, because I was going to say it to like Stephen and John, and I know like for me and John, so even like last week, the reason I was like worried about John was when he dropped to the WhatsApp chat. So it's like messaging him in the morning, and then it's like told me what had happened. So I was like, right, try to get in contact, and they never replied. And I was panicking, thinking like I've no idea like what's going on. And I was even like messaging Matty saying what they're doing. Like Matty's like, have you phoned them? I was like, I never really thought about that. But I was like, I'll phone him later on. I was like, you know, when you're like, right, you're trying to do a million things, and then like make sure John's all right, and then John's like, I was on night shift, so that's why I never replied to you. But it's interesting because there'll be times when like I'll message folk like John or other folk that I know through the changing rooms, or like people in general now. I think people are more getting in tune with like talking about mental health when you ask how you're doing, and they'll say, oh, I've maybe not been doing that well. And then I'll be like that to them, well, you should have said something. So they'll say, well, how have you been doing? I'll say, well, I've maybe not been doing that well. And they're like, well, you should have said something. And it's this thing where like there's maybe like people going through the same thing like emotionally, even though it's like a different experience, but it's maybe getting them down. And it's just that talking about it, you know what I mean? As soon as you start talking about it, I think it's pointless. And I know it from my own point of view, like if you need to look after yourself as much as everybody else. So if you're struggling, it's a case of talking about it, because I've been there when it's like it just ate away at me until there was nothing left to eat, when like I didn't talk about it. And John, you can relate to that. You know what I mean? Stephen and maybe Alex and that, and Matty as well. It's just something that the longer it sort of gets to, and like what you were saying, Matty, with anxiety, completely appreciate that. But you start to worry about things you don't need to worry about. It just keeps building up and up and up, and instead of looking at like something which is quite straightforward, it's just getting too much. So it is like talking about is the main thing. That doesn't need to be like ideally go and see like a medical professional and that, but your mates and stuff, everybody's more in tune with it now, so nobody's going to judge you. And it is like, or even on social media, you'll see people like posting stuff saying that they're struggling in that. And I think gone quite rightly are the days where they'll get criticised for that, and more likely it's going to be support. And there's some people like there's people who've been going through it. I'll not mention their names in that, but you see it on like Twitter and stuff, where it's like they've been going through quite a struggle and it's been quite public. And then it's sort of like the support that they're getting. And it helps your own like mental health well-being, looking in for people, but also like when they're asking how you're as well. So definitely speaking about it, and stuff like this is a big massive help. And there is that balance between, I think, and I'm sort of like both like Stephen and both Matty, where like I struggle on my own, but there's times I just need that. Like I can get up on a Saturday morning, I could even set my alarm for like 5 in the morning, just put a rubbish film on that no one else will watch, a horror film or a Nicolas Cage film, or a Nicolas Cage horror film, and just watch that before anybody else gets up, and that's me for the day. But I know like sometimes at night, say if my wife's out or like and my kid's in bed, it's like that thing where you start like thinking like, what have I achieved, what have I become, do you know what I mean? And it's like it starts eating away at you again. So it's managing it, making sure that in cases like that, then you can contact people and say, does anybody fancy a chat or stuff. But it is a fine balance, and it's one I've not perfected, but yeah, we'll get there though. We will get there.
I've perfected that balance, mate, to be honest.
Nah.
Because I mean, I do get where yous are coming from, because as I say, there is times where I will sit in the house, and then get me wrong, like I agree with what Matty said there, Ken, just sitting playing on the computer and shit like that. I'm terrible for sitting playing Football Manager. It is, honest to God, my worst trait in the world. I could sit in front of my laptop or my computer for hours and hours on end, and I didn't even pay attention to anybody that's round the boot, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's just something that I'll do. And that's fine. You know what I mean? Didn't get me wrong, that's totally fine. But it's thing like, I mean, like, if I sit, I can't do that every day. Do you know what I mean? Because there is times where I will sit there and I'll think, I just need to speak to somebody. Like, I don't even care who it is. I just want to speak to somebody. And don't get me wrong, 9 times out of 10, I'll sit, I'll speak to my wife, I'll speak to a couple of my mates online and everything like that, and yourselves in group chats and whatnot. And that, you know, that's helped me massively because, you know, it's helping me do that in a really distant world that we're kind of living in just now. Because it's not like, I mean, I'm saying this now, not to be dramatic of that, but certainly I feel kind of the days are gone whereby, like, oh, I'll just go round to such and such is round the corner just now. We've kind of, like, it's like we've lost that sort of thing to say, oh, I'll just go round and I'll knock the door and see if he's there, sort of thing. So, I mean, I can completely understand as well. As I say, Ken, there's times where, like, I'll get, like, my anxiety only ever really seems to hit me when I'm at work. When I'm in the house, it never ever seems to hit me. But when I'm at work, there's been days where I'm like, can I work with kids? Can I work in a nursery? For me to say I need 5 minutes to myself, it's a really hard thing to do. Like, it's even just sort of saying, like, can nobody talk to me for 10 minutes? I can't do that. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I know it's, as you say, it's that fine balance of getting. And the thing is, what will work for you might not work for me, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? It's figuring it out.
You can always lean on your director of football and your assistant manager as well. And if you're stuck in that zone, they're there for you. And with the kids, a wee bit of chloroform and the hanky, just a wee bit of peace and quiet, sort you like it. I listen to a podcast called Top Flight Time Machine. They talk about it on Longbangers quite a lot, right? One of the guys who presents that is a guy called Sam Delaney. He does another podcast called The Reset, which is all about mental health. And he was shared something the other day about the importance of resting. He says, like, glamorized doing nothing was kind of the message. And he was sort of making the point that, like you said this, you can't go days playing Football Manager. Of course you can, because life goes on. And we all have responsibilities and stuff like that. And Neil, you were saying, can get to the end of the day and ask him what you've achieved. And there's that sort of pressure that's like glamorizing working hard, like doing overtime or knocking your pan in for an employer, not this kind of thing. And actually, his message sometimes is actually for your own sanity. Sometimes you need to glamorise doing nothing, having that day where you sit in your jammies till, I was going to say your boxer short. I'm at an age now where you wear jammies now and again. So you sit in your jammies till lunchtime or tea time or whatever, watching The Simpsons or I can play the Xbox or whatever it is. Obviously, you can't do that all the time, but now and again, that's an all right thing to do. And what you've achieved there is you've recharged a bit your batteries and got a wee bit of your sanity back and that kind of thing.
One thing I like to do is, before I get slagged for it, but I'll run away from it. Buy the CBD bath bombs, the cannabis oil on them. They're illegal to buy. You can buy them on Amazon, has it? I'll go for a bath. I'll have the light off, but I'll have a candle. So I've just got a candle light in the room. And I'll put that in the bath. I'll just sit and listen to music. I'll be in the bath for about an hour. And I come out it, and you actually do feel like kind of charged up a bit more. As you're saying, you feel charged. You just feel, obviously I use the CBD bath bombs, but it helps your muscles and everything. And it's just like you come out and your whole body and mind just feels like a lot better than what it was when you went in. That makes sense.
How easy is it to make a joint out of bath, John?
That'll be some bath. That'll like.
Oh, we don't know.
It's just the cannabis oil on it. It's not the
What about yourself, Alex? What kind of stuff do you do just to kind of keep yourself in a good place?
Recently, I've been getting back into playing football. It was football for fat guys, basically. So I got invited along, and I thought I'll get back into it. a couple of games in, they added me into their group chat, and it's just fucking nonsense. It's total just rad shit all the time. It's been muted, Ken, but you stay in it. But some of the shit they put on there is just amazing. And then you go and play the game, and then they're all like, "Oh, good game, guys, everybody," and they all got on well. But there was 60 of them in this group chat, and after a few weeks, I just said to them, "Look, I don't know what made me do it or anything, but I just said to them, I didn't particularly struggle with mental health, but the game with you guys is helping. It's making me feel good. So cheers for introducing me to the game." And the response was just staggering. Like 2 or 3 of them were like, "Who the fuck's like let you into the chat? Ken, fucking hell, what's this all about?" But it just opened up. Everybody else started saying the same thing. Like, it really helps me, Ken. It's good to get along. You look forward to it. It's no competitive or anything. It's just a laugh, and it was really good. It kind of opened them all up, which I didn't mean for it to happen. It just and they were like, and then apologised to them. So I'm really sorry. I never expected that. So I just say that for the sake of saying it, and I think it seemed to have helped them. Kind of like, and just talking. And they're not even talking. It's just a text on a group chat. They're saying, I feel the same. I've felt like that for about 8 months or 9 months. I've never said that to you, but I love it. And so that recently that's been good. And what else did I do? As I said, I'm between my dad and my best mate, and we like a wee drink every Friday. That's about that's and the Burns just keep me relentlessly occupied. So
Yeah, that's good. It's funny what you say about talking, and this is one thing. I think when folk are in a dark place and struggling, you think that you're the only one in the world feeling like that, and then everybody else would get it if you told them. And it's amazing. Like, so I've not talked about like my mental health with loads of folk. Like, I had one spell where I was like, I felt really bad. I was off work, and other than that, it's generally fine. Like, I'm quite a resilient guy and kind of cope with most of the stuff that comes my way, bar the odd blip, like when you take a week off your work or whatever. But generally speaking, all right. But that time when I was ill, and I spoke to folk close to me, it was amazing the amount of folk that were like, "I can't exactly how you feel," and then they would come out and have stories about it, and then all of a sudden you're like, first of all, I'm not a fucking weirdo, because that was like your first worry is that you're weird and that it's no right to feel like this. And then you have that empathy, folk are empathetic, they have the conversation with you, they care where you're coming from, and they support you through it. And this thing that you've been burdening yourself with, when you start to talk about it and other folks start to take a bit of that burden off you, it's a brilliant thing. Like, it's obviously no brilliant that folk feel that way, but it's brilliant how
never alone.
Aye. Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it, Alex. Aye, you're never alone with it. You reach out to somebody and sudden things are a bit better. Right, I think we kind of surpassed our time. We was even for half an hour, and I think we've about doubled it. So this is obviously the first episode. We'll see how the series goes, but we're looking to make this probably a weekly thing. So if anybody's listening and what we've been talking about has resonated with you and you want to get involved, drop us a wee DM on Twitter at Longbangers, or you can email us at longbangers@gmail.com, and we'll get you on. Really, we're no limiting it to men. It's men, women, non-binary, I suppose, as well. You know, like whatever goes these days. It's a kind of open forum for anybody who wants to kind of come and join in the conversation. What's that?
Non-Hibbies as well.
Non-Hibbies as well. Oh, fucking hell, Alex. Right. let's not get carried away with one. Non-Hibbies are fine. So it's this isn't really a podcast about football at all. Okay, but as we're sitting here in Hibs tops and that, but it's no football is not really on the agenda on this podcast. So get in touch with us if it's something that you want to talk about, share your experiences and maybe help other folk as well in doing so. And then stay tuned for the next one next week. In the meantime, thanks very much for listening. Neil, John, Stephen, Alex, thank you very much for your time this evening. It's been brilliant listening to you, and you are obviously welcome back any single time you want to come on. It's an open invitation for you. Okay, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
County line, I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no.